Picture this: a stone room, lit only by flickering candles. The air is thick with smoke, sweat, and ink. At one end of the table sits the master, the man who dictates. His voice echoes off the stone walls, and row after row of scribes bend over parchment, quills scratching furiously, capturing every syllable. Now pause here. Think about it. The scribes had no power. They wrote only what they were told. But the man at the head of the table, he held absolute control. If he changed one word, one phrase, one description, history itself would bend. And with it, theology, belief, even the flow of money. Because controlling the translation meant controlling the narrative. And controlling the narrative meant controlling the people. That was the system for centuries. The Bible chained in Latin, the words of God mediated only by priests, bishops, and rulers. Until one Scottish minister began to ask dangerous questions. His name was Robert Kirk, and unlike most of his peers, he believed the people deserved to hear scripture in their own tongue. So he took the Psalms and passages of the Old and New Testament and translated them into Gaelic. For the first time, Highland villagers, men and women who had never heard the Bible in words they truly understood, listened as David's songs came alive in their own language. It was groundbreaking, earth-shaking, and to the power brokers of the church, it was dangerous. Because once the people heard the word for themselves, they might not hear what the church wanted them to. And here is where Robert Kirk's rebellion echoes across time. Centuries later, Paul Anthony Wallis, a former archdeacon of the Anglican Church, asked the same unsettling question. What happens if we go back to the original words? What happens if we peel away the Latin, the King James English, the layers of interpretation, and read the Bible as it was written? Take the Hebrew word Elohim. For centuries, it was translated into Latin and then into English as God. One God, singular, absolute. But in Hebrew, Elohim is plural. It means the powerful beings. Do you feel the ground shift under your feet? The Bible's opening lines no longer describe one almighty deity, but a council of powerful beings. Suddenly, Genesis reads less like a monotheistic declaration, and more like a record of encounters with entities. Now listen to another, the Hebrew word ruach. Traditionally, it's rendered spirit, as in, and the Spirit of God moved upon the waters. But ruach can also mean wind or breath, and some scholars suggest it describes a vehicle that breathed, something that moved, roared, exhaled with force. Now read the verse again. And the vehicle that breathed hovered over the waters. Doesn't it sound less like mysticism and more like technology? Like a roar, a craft, an object our ancestors struggled to describe. This is not allegory. This is not imagination. It's the power of translation. One word altered, and the entire meaning of the text collapses and rebuilds itself into something new. Robert Kirk understood this. He knew that mistranslation was not an accident. It was a strategy. It controlled belief. It loosened purse strings. Because if the church said God demanded a tithe, who could argue? If the Latin phrasing implied obedience, or guilt, or debt, then peasants opened their wallets. More money meant more power. And Kirk? He wanted the people to come to their own conclusions. But he was no fool. To defy the church outright was suicide. So he took a gentler path. His first step was to give the Bible back to the people in their own language. One translation at a time, one psalm at a time, planting seeds of reason in a field long dominated by fear. So what do we learn from this? That mistranslation isn't harmless. It isn't neutral. It is power. And if a single word like Elohim or Ruach can flip our entire understanding of God and creation, how much of what we've been taught is true? And how much was dictated by the man at the head of the table? Robert Kirk asked those questions in the 1600s. Paul Wallis asks them today. And now, it's your turn. Because when words change, worlds change. If this episode shook your assumptions, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Next time, we'll go deeper into the mysterious beings of the Bible and folklore alike. The Nephilim, the Watchers, the Hidden Commonwealth. Episode 3 will take you into a world you were never told existed.